The killing fields are a number of sites in Cambodia where large numbers of people were killed and buried by the communist Khmer Rouge regime, during its rule of the country from 1975 to 1979, immediately after the end of the Cambodian Civil War. Analysis of 20,000 mass grave sites by the DC CAM mapping program and Yale University indicate at least 1,386,734 victims of execution. Estimates of the total number of deaths resulting from Khmer Rouge policies, including disease and starvation, range from 1.7 to 2.5 million out of a 1975 population of roughly 8 million. In 1979, Communist Vietnam invaded Democratic Kampuchea and toppled the Khmer Rouge regime. Cambodian journalist Dith Pran coined the term killing fields after his escape from the regime. Genocide. The Khmer Rouge regime arrested and eventually executed almost everyone suspected of connections with the former government or with foreign governments, as well as professionals and intellectuals. Ethnic Vietnamese, ethnic Thai, ethnic Chinese, ethnic Cham, Cambodian Christians, and the Buddhist monkhood were the demographic targets of persecution. As a result, Pol Pot is sometimes described as the Hitler of Cambodia, and a genocidal tyrant. Martin Shaw described the Cambodian genocide as the purest genocide of the Cold War era. Ben Kiernan estimates that about 1.7 million people were killed. Researcher Craig Etchison of the Documentation Center of Cambodia suggests that the death toll was between 2 and 2.5 million, with a most likely figure of 2.2 million. After 5 years of researching some 20,000 grave sites, he concludes that these mass graves contain the remains of 1,386,734 victims of execution. A UN investigation reported €3 million dead, while UNICEF estimated 3 million had been killed. Demographic analysis by Patrick Hivline suggests that between 1.17 and 3.42 million Cambodians were killed, while Marek Slywinski suggests that 1.8 million is a conservative figure. Even the Khmer Rouge acknowledged that 2 million had been killed, though they attributed those deaths to a subsequent Vietnamese invasion. By late 1979, UN and Red Cross officials were warning that another 2.25 million Cambodians faced death by starvation due to a near destruction of Cambodian society under the regime of ousted Prime Minister Pol Pot, who was saved by international aid after the Vietnamese invasion. Cambodia's ethnic minorities constituted 15% of the population in pre-Khmer Rouge era. Of the 400,000 Vietnamese who lived in Cambodia before 1975, some 300,000 were expelled by the previous Lon Nol regime. When Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge came to power, there remained about 250,000 Vietnamese in the country. Almost all of them were repatriated by December 1975. The Chinese community was reduced to 200,000 during the next 4 years. In the Khmer Rouge's Standing Committee, 4 members were of Chinese ancestry, 2 Vietnamese, and 2 Khmers. Some observers argue that this mixed composition makes it difficult to argue that there was an intent to kill off minorities. R. J. Rummel, an analyst of political killings, argues that there was a clear genocidal intent. One estimate is that out of 40,000 to 60,000 monks, only between 800 and 1,000 survived to carry on their religion. We do know that of 2,680 monks in 8 monasteries, a mere 70 were alive as of 1979. As for the Buddhist temples that populated the landscape of Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge destroyed 95% of them, and turned the remaining few into warehouses or allocated them for some other degrading use. Amazingly, in the very short span of a year or so, the small gang of Khmer Rouge wiped out the center of Cambodian culture, its spiritual incarnation, its institutions. As part of a planned genocide campaign, the Khmer Rouge sought out and killed other minorities, such as the Muslim Cham. In the district of Kampong Siem, for example, they demolished 5 Cham hamlets and reportedly massacred 20,000 that lived there. In the district of Kungnis only 4 Cham apparently survived out of some 20,000. Process. The judicial process of the Khmer Rouge regime, for minor or political crimes, began with a warning from the Angkar, the government of Cambodia under the regime. people receiving more than 2 warnings were sent for re-education, which meant near certain death. People were often encouraged to confess to Angkar their pre-revolutionary lifestyles and crimes, being told that Angkar would forgive them and wipe the slate clean. This meant being taken away to a place such as Teol Sling or Choeung Ek for torture and/or execution. The executed were buried in mass graves. In order to save ammunition, the executions were often carried out using poison, spades or sharpened bamboo sticks. In some cases the children and infants of adult victims were killed by having their heads bashed against the trunks of chankiri trees. The rationale was to stop them growing up and taking revenge for their parents' deaths. Some victims were required to dig their own graves. Their weakness often meant that they were unable to dig very deep. The soldiers who carried out the executions were mostly young men or women from peasant families. Prosecution for crimes against humanity. In 1997 the Cambodian government asked for the UN's assistance in setting up a genocide tribunal. It took 9 years to agree to the shape and structure of the court, a hybrid of Cambodian and international laws, before the judges were sworn in 2006. The investigating judges were presented with the names of 5 possible suspects by the prosecution on July 18, 2007. On September 19, 2007, Naron Kia, second-in-command of the Khmer Rouge and its most senior surviving member, was charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity. He faced Cambodian and foreign judges at the Special Genocide Tribunal and was convicted on August 7, 2014 and received a life sentence. On July 26, 2010, Kang Kek Yeo, director of the S-21 prison camp, was convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to 35 years imprisonment. His sentence was reduced to 19 years, as he had already spent 11 years in prison. On February 2, 2012, his sentence was extended to life imprisonment by the extraordinary chambers in the courts of Cambodia. Today, the best-known monument of the killing fields is at the village of Choeung Ek. Today, it is the site of a Buddhist memorial to the victims, and Teol Sling has a museum commemorating the genocide. The memorial park at Choeung Ek has been built around the mass graves of many thousands of victims, most of whom were executed after they had been transported from the S-21 prison in Phnom Penh. The utmost respect is given to the victims of the massacres through signs and tribute sections throughout the park. Many dozens of mass graves are visible above ground, many which have not been excavated yet. Commonly, bones and clothing surface after heavy rainfalls due to the large number of bodies still buried in shallow mass graves. It is not uncommon to run across the bones or teeth of the victims scattered on the surface as one tours the memorial park. If these are found, visitors are asked to notify a memorial park officer or guide. A survivor of the genocide, Dara Duong, founded the Killing Fields Museum in Seattle, Washington, USA. See also, Alive in the Killing Fields, Cambodia Tribunal, Cambodian Civil War, Chankiri Tree, Choeung Ek, Enemies of the People, First Indochina War, First They Killed My Father by Lungun, Khmer Rouge Rule of Cambodia, Khmer Warrior, The Killing Fields, Sun Senator Ta Mok, Teol Sling Genocide Museum, Vietnam War, References. External links. The Killing Fields Museum, a museum based in Seattle, USA dedicated to preserving the history of the killing fields. Cambodia Tribunal Monitor, photographs from S-21, photographs from Teol Sling, Denise Fauna Section No, To the End of Hell, One Woman's Struggle to Survive Cambodia's Khmer Rouge. ISBN 978-0-9555729-5-1. Dark Memories of Cambodia's Killing Spree. BBC News commemorating the 30th anniversary of the Khmer Rouge's demise, Cambodian genocide on the Combat Genocide Association website.